Watch what happens when a dangerous dragon attacks a magnificent palace and the king stands helpless. Will the palace's general be able to defeat this fierce dragon, or will it prove to be the last day of his life? Find out in this thrilling story when the general and the dragon come face to face. Once upon a time, there lived a powerful king in a grand kingdom who ruled from a magnificent palace. The people loved him, and the kingdom was filled with joy. One day, the king's queen gave birth to a beautiful son, and the entire kingdom celebrated with happiness. However, their joy was short-lived. A fierce dragon attacked the palace, stealing large amounts of food from the royal storerooms and injuring many soldiers. The dragon caused immense destruction, spreading despair among the king and his subjects. Days turned into weeks, and the dragon continued to attack the palace and nearby villages, instilling fear among the people. They approached the king, pleading for help, but the king realized his helplessness against the mighty creature. He felt he couldn't protect his kingdom and decided to abandon the palace, believing it to be the only option. The king took treasure from the palace for his family and left, knowing they couldn't defeat the dragon. However, the palace's general refused to give up. He was determined to protect the kingdom. The general decided to face the dragon with a few soldiers, carrying large weapons. On their way, they saw the dragon flying toward the palace, preparing for another attack. The general said, "We cannot turn back now. We must face this challenge." They marched toward the dragon's lair and found a small dragon hatchling there. The soldiers were astonished. "Another dragon? We couldn't deal with one, and now there's another," said one soldier. But the general saw an opportunity. He captured the hatchling, knowing it would be their weapon. As they began to leave, the mighty dragon appeared before them, ready to attack. But the general stood firm. "If you harm us, your baby will be in danger," he warned. The dragon, realizing the truth of his words, backed off, worried for its child. The general said, "Your baby will stay with us, and you will not attack the palace. If you do, your child won't be safe." The general and his soldiers returned to the palace, and from then on, the dragon no longer attacked. The general informed the people that the dragon was under control. There was joy among the people, and they made the general their new king. Sometime later, the new king had a son, and once again, there was joy among the people. However, news arrived that the dragon had returned and was planning to attack the palace. The king ordered all his soldiers to protect the palace and its food supplies, as the dragon always came for food. But the king knew the dragon was likely coming for its child. The king went to the dragon's hatchling with his soldiers and waited for the dragon's attack. Then a soldier reported, "Your Majesty, the dragon has left without causing any harm or stealing any food." The king wondered why the dragon hadn't come for its child. Soon after, another soldier arrived and said, "Your Majesty, the dragon has taken your son." The king was devastated. He asked, "How?" Then the king realized that while all the soldiers and he himself were busy protecting the palace and its food, no one was guarding his son. Enraged, the king began preparing to head to the dragon's lair. The king, along with his entire army, marched toward the dragon's lair. When the dragon appeared before them, the king said, "You've made a grave mistake. You will regret this." The dragon replied, "A mistake? I only did what you did to me. You took my child, so I took yours. I never killed any of your soldiers. All I ever wanted was food for myself and my child." The king realized that the dragon had never harmed anyone. It only wanted food for its family. The king understood how wrong it was to take the dragon's child from it. He said, "I understand now, dragon. I will return your child to you, but you must also return my son, and never trouble my palace or people again. I will also make sure you and your child always have food." The dragon agreed to the king's terms. The king called for the dragon's hatchling from the palace, and the dragon brought the king's son from its lair. But something strange happened. As they called their children to them, the dragon's hatchling didn't want to leave the king. as the king had cared for it like his own child. Similarly, the king's son clung to the dragon's leg and didn't want to leave, as the dragon had looked after him like its own child. It was then that both the king and the dragon realized how much love they had given each other's children. From that day on, the dragon never attacked the palace again, and the king and the dragon became good friends. Thus, they lived happily ever after, proving that understanding and compassion can defeat even the most fearsome enemies.